I just set up an AI-powered follow-up system that's handling 95% of our clients' sales pipeline. And last month, it booked more demos than 2 human sales reps combined. We're using GoHighLevel as the brains, Retell for calling, and N8N to automate the handoffs. Break down how leads get called or texted instantly, how AI checks business hours before reaching out, and why batching SMS replies like an actual human is the #1 unlock for getting actual responses. These tweaks led to a 26% close rate for a real client. And if you want to copy this exact workflow into your own setup, you can follow along step by step. What is going on? Today, we're going to be going over the ultimate follow-up AI. So this is voice and SMS put together, literally designed to call, qualify, and continue to follow up on new leads until they either book into your calendar or they are not interested and not a good fit. So we're going to be using GoHighLevel, Retell, and N8N. GoHighLevel acting as the workflow automator, the orchestrator. We have Retell for the voice piece, and then we're using N8N for the glue that pretty much connects everything together. Now, I'm going to bring up this specific workflow. It's a little blurry here. This is what we're going to be building out today. And this is pretty much the brains behind the entire operation. So new lead comes in. Let me just change up my pen here. So what happens is new lead comes down right here. And you can see that we have a little wait timer. And that's just checking what is the hours of operation, like what are the business hours. If it's during business hours, then what's going to happen is we're going to proceed directly to a phone call. We're going to notify them with this SMS that we're going to call them. And then we're going to go ahead and place this call with a webhook. Now, if it's outside of business hours, we want to get their consent. So what happens is we come down here first. We hit them with a text message asking if they prefer text or call. If they answer that text message, they're going to come down here, and don't worry about it being blurry. We're going to go in more detail in a second, but it's going to come down here, and then we have an option. That option is either, so this is checking, do they prefer voice or do they prefer SMS? So if they prefer voice, then we're going to come down here. We're going to trigger a phone call. Otherwise, if they prefer SMS, we're going to come down here, and our SMS agent is going to engage with them. Otherwise, if they don't answer at all, we'll just keep following up with them a couple of times until they either answer or they don't. We keep coming down, and then we place a phone call, or we continue to follow up via text. So this is how we can instantly engage everyone that comes into the business instantly. And then the rest of this automation right here, so this portion right here is the follow-up for voice if we don't get in touch with them. And then once they do answer, they'll come down this path right here where they will fall into one of these 3 buckets, which is either booked, not booked, but qualified, or not interested. So that's what we're going to be building out today, kind of high level. This looks like I just put together a football play for AI. And just to give you some background, this is for one of our clients right now. They have a 26% close rate where AI is handling 95% of that pipeline. So this does work. It is incredibly powerful, especially at scale. And today we're going to be breaking that down. So before we dive in, I wanted to kind of give you some pieces to the puzzle. We won't be building these out today, but this is kind of the system that's in place in order for us to achieve these things. So on the SMS front, we have our main SMS agent, which is this right here. And that's composed of a few different things. So we use the note section as a memory for the AI in GoHighLevel. We also have this portion right here. So this is what enables batch texting. If you look at a lot of other SMS agents, what'll happen is you'll send a message, they'll reply instantly. The issue with that is that that's not how humans text. Humans text in batches. So they're going to send like rapid fire multiple texts, and you want to be able to aggregate all of them and send one text message instead. That's what this portion achieves. We then grab the latest conversations, combine them. We check for reactions, if there's any reactions. And then we have our agent, which is able to create bookings, objection handle, and send follow-ups. So that's what's going on here. And if we come over here to the follow-up AI, what's essentially happening is, let's say we don't have any response, then we are going to have AI follow-up. So once again, we're grabbing the memory of all past conversations. We're looking at the most recent conversations. And then based on that, we have AI follow up and send a follow-up message. Now, how do we know when to follow up? Well, we have another agent, which is our check last activity agent, which is looking at when was that last message sent and outputting either that we should follow up, that they are recently active, meaning there's an ongoing conversation, or we've sent them 8 in a row follow-ups. There's not been one single response. Let's remove them from the workflow. And then on the voice piece, is really comprised of two main sections. So we have the actual call that's going out, the outbound trigger, which is really just a webhook that creates that call to Retell. And then we also have our post-call analysis. So when we get information back from Retell, where it looks complicated, but really it's just, was the call not connected? And if it was connected, since this is outbound, was there no answer? Not connected means typically there's like a telephony error, whereas not answered means we called them, we left them a voicemail, they didn't pick up. Or they answered, and sometimes on outbound call campaigns, people call back in. So we need an inbound route, and that's being handled right here. So a lot going on. Today, we're going to be building out a small piece of this, which is going to be that initial automation I showed you right at the top. And if you do get value out of these videos, consider dropping a subscribe. It's free, helps support the channel, allows me to keep making videos like this for you. And if you want me to build out more of these, just let me know down in the comments. Okay, so let's build this out from scratch. So typically you're going to need a trigger. That's typically Facebook lead form submitted or, some form, anything that you have to start this initial trigger. And then we're going to need a condition. So we can choose that new trigger that we just created. Sometimes you have to reload the web page. Okay, so you just choose that workflow trigger, Facebook lead form submitted. And then we are going to need two other things, which is going to be call status. They're actually custom fields. So you do contact changed so we created this custom field called call status, and we'll say it has changed to answered. And then we'll just go ahead and duplicate this. And then the other one is going to be no answer. Okay, so now let's build out the first one. So Facebook lead form is submitted. They come down, they hit the workflow branch, and immediately we're going to have a wait timer, because what we've noticed is we don't want to call them immediately. We want to wait a couple of minutes and then call them. And then we're going to have a condition to check the time. So you could choose right here, date time. You could say time of the day is on or after 9 a.m. And same thing, time of the day is on or before 5 p.m. And you could adjust this. You can make it later if you want, just like that. So if it's between 9 and 5, then what we're going to do is hit them with an SMS. Could say something like, hey, contact first name, just saw your phone come through, calling you in a minute. And then I just like to drip out the contacts one at a time. And then we have a webhook. And in this webhook, this is where we will be placing that call to Retell, like I showed right here, when we will be placing that call to Retell. So it's going to send the information in this webhook. Then we'll be creating the call. And then in there in custom data, you'll usually have, first name. So it could be a little bit more personalized, email. For bookings, phone number, I like to put contact ID and last name. And then you can just choose all of those values by coming in and selecting them like this. Phone, I like to put the raw format for the phone, contact ID down at the bottom, and last name, which I accidentally put up here. So email. There we go. We get it saved. And then we are going to update a contact field, and we're going to have times called is now equal to 1 because we're placing our first phone call. And we're going to set the call status to pending. Now, this is important, this call status, because what's going to happen is in our post-call analysis, we are looking, was this call answered or not? And if that call was answered, we're going to update the call status here to answered. But if not, it'll come down here to the no answer, and it will get added back into our flow. Okay, so let's say it's outside 9 to 6. Next thing we're going to want to do is send an SMS. So we're going to ask for their consent, right? Hey, just saw you fill out a form, but didn't get to book an appointment. Can I call you now or prefer text? Now we're going to tag AI start. So we're going to add a contact tag. It's going to be AI start. And all this is doing is adding it to our follow-up sequence right here, right? So now it's being added to these systems where it's going to check last activity, determine should we follow up, and if so, engage the SMS AI. And that looks something like this, where we have is recently active. Should we send a follow-up or should we exit a workflow? And then we are going to add a wait timer, which is going to wait for a contact reply. And we're looking for a reply to the SMS intro. And we're going to set the timeout to 4 minutes, meaning if they don't reply, we're going to follow up with them again because they just filled out a form, right? They should be engaging. Why would they fill out a form and then not be able to answer us? So we want to continuously follow up. Okay, now we're going to add in another wait timer. I just like to do 0.1 minute, and we're going to just make sure that it's between business hours, and we are going to just copy everything here and drop it in here. So what's happening is, actually, I'm missing one step. So on this SMS intro, can I call you now or you prefer text? We hit this wait timer. We're waiting for a contact reply. We need one condition here. This condition is purely going to detect the intent, right? Should we call or not? So contact reply, we can choose the replied message And then we just want to make sure that it contains the word call or contains the word phone. And if it does contain one of those two words, then we can remove this wait timer and we're just going to go ahead and call them right away. But if it contains none of those things, meaning they prefer text, then we're going to still have this where it'll call them, but it's going to call them during the next business day. So we just need to add a wait timer right above, and we give you 0.1 minutes and just make sure it's between 9 to 5. And that way, if they do engage, meaning, hey, no, I prefer text, the AI knows that. They're going to continue that conversation via text, via our SMS AI right here. But if they don't get to the booking stage by the time next day rolls around, then we're going to be calling them tomorrow at 9 a.m. to get them booked in. Now, if after 4 minutes they haven't engaged at all, we're going to send them a second SMS and we're just going to try and engage them with some humor. So, hey, you get sidetracked or something? Like, what's going on? Then we'll have a wait timer. And this is going to be, once again, on contact reply to SMS 2, and we'll time it out after 2 minutes. So we're getting slightly more aggressive. Once again, we are just going to go here, copy all actions from here and drop this in. So if they do engage now, our SMS AI is going to start taking over and we have our phone call queued up for tomorrow morning if they don't answer or if they don't reach that booking state. But hey, if they don't answer again, we're going to follow up with another SMS, right? And this SMS is typically tailored to try and generate engagement. So you could say something like, what's got you interested in X for your business, right? Or if you're doing consumers for your home or whatever it might be. And then there we'll have another wait timer. Once again, waiting on contact reply to SMS 3 with a timeout of, let's say, 2 minutes. We'll copy this again. We can drop it in here. So all of these calls are queued up and it'll go down one of these paths. Otherwise, we're going to follow up again with one last SMS. Right? Guessing you're busy, I'll give you a run Monday to make sure we connect. And then we'll copy all these actions. And now we have a call queued up for Monday as well. Perfect. So now this is a really strong way to engage prospects immediately as soon as that lead comes in. Now we need to build out the rest of the flow of what happens if they don't answer. So we're going to add a new branch. Name this branch no answer 1. It's going to be the workflow trigger is no answer and contact details. We're going to look for times called is 1. Because if you remember at the bottom of each of these, we've updated times called to 1. So now when our post call flow sets it to no answer, it comes down here and it satisfies this no answer trigger where no answer and times called is equal to 1. And then you can just go ahead, copy one of these. We'll copy all the actions and we can just drop it in up here. And then you can set your wait timer. So, we might want to wait 0.1 minutes on the first one, but on the second one, we might want to wait 24 hours. And this is how you space all of the amount of times that you call them. So we can go ahead, just duplicate this branch, name it no answer 2, and we can keep duplicating this. Change this to no answer 3 and 3, no answer 4. And you get the point. We're going to stop at 4 and you would just copy this, drop them in here. And the only thing that's going to change is your update contact field where this now becomes 2, so on and so forth. So that every time there's no answer, it will come back into the queue and keep calling them. And you would also want to adjust your wait timers so it's not just spam calling them, but calling them over a period of days. From there, we're going to have a call status where it is answered. So we'll say call answered and look for the workflow trigger where it's answered. And then from there, we're going to have a simple condition. That condition is going to put them into either qualified, booked, not booked, and not interested. So we can go ahead and look for tags, contact details, tags includes, and then I already have them. So it'd be booked, right? And I'm just going to go duplicate these branches. Second one's going to be not booked. And the third one could be not interested. And then we would just update the different pipeline stages. So you could look for opportunity and can just create those opportunities. So meeting booked, then you would just modify the other two. And just like that, you have a really powerful AI follow-up system. Obviously, there's more to it than this, but this is the main master orchestrator. So I wanted to share this with you today. I hope you got immense value. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Otherwise, wish you an incredible day. Catch you on the next one. Peace.